Konbanwa minasan, it's Christy Bryant with the Austin Oita Sister City Committee. I hope you are doing really well. We're almost at the end of shelter in place, at least here in Austin, or seems like that might be the case. I sure hope that you have not been affected or your family or friends affected with the COVID virus. If you have, our hearts go out to you and hope that everybody is recovering just fine. As we round out our programming, today we have Juliann Krute. She is going to show you how to make Kawaii bentos. Bento is a lunchbox. Kawaii means cute, and it is fun, all the different things you can do with bento boxes. A big shout out to Juliann. She really helped make this whole programming for the whole month happen. So much is required behind the scenes. And I hear everybody organizing their closets and doing this and that during April. And I have to tell you, between my real estate business, which is crazy busy right now, and doing this programming every day, it takes a lot of extra effort. And Juliann has put in as much effort as I have. So I really want to give her a real big thank you. Thank you for her time. Thank you for her skills and expertise. And if you haven't joined the contest, the 30 Things contest, you can go to our Facebook page, you can go to our website, austinoita.org, and see what you can do. All you have to do in order to be registered is go to our Facebook page and like it, facebook.com/AustinOita. Encourage you to do that. We have some really cool prizes, $100 gift cards to Kome Restaurant, Texas Sake, Kinokuniya Bookstore, and Asahi Imports, and then the commemorative 30th anniversary t-shirts. Without any further ado, here is Juliann Krute and Kawaii Bentos.
Konnichiwa minasan. This is Juliann, and this is the final Friday in April for our 30 Things in 30 Days, and we are finally going to talk about the other kind of fiber, and that is dietary fiber, i.e. food. So let's get into the topic. We're going to talk about Kawaii Bento, or cute bento. Basically just how to make everyday food look cute. We'll start with some of the food that we're going to be preparing, and I'm also going to show you some of the gadgets and tools that I have. But everything we're going to talk about today is either something you probably have at home or something that's fairly easy to get from a place that has curbside delivery. So let's move back to the slides for a minute. Let's just talk about the basic ways to add wow to your stay-at-home meals. So I'm going to be referring back to this slide as we go through these 4 topics. But just a general overview, the ways to add that extra oomph, that extra little bit of cuteness to your meal, especially if you have kids that maybe you're having to coax into eating because they're also bored with having the same thing for the 900th time. 4 tools in your arsenal would be to use your best stuff, your cute things, all the stuff that you've been saving for a special occasion. My mantra is, this is a very special occasion. Hopefully this will be the only time in our lives that we're living through a pandemic and we're having to stay at home for such a long period. So if you're saving it for that special time, now is the special time. Use the good stuff. Point 2, we'll be talking about color. Point 3 will be shapes and changing the shapes of your food. Point 4 is a special one where we talk about adding faces to your food. Now these are all quite basic topics. Obviously you can get very advanced with it, so we'll give you some resources at the end. But let's talk about the first 2, about using your best dishes and color at the same time here. So these are some bentos that I have prepared earlier. Obviously one is more of a snack and one is a DIY salad. And the reason why I'm talking about using your best dishes is these are actually some fun dishes that I picked up in Japan at Daiso. There are Daisos in Texas if you happen to be watching this from the Dallas-Fort Worth area or from Katy. Maybe you're going down to the new Kinokuniya store in Katy. Pop over, there's a Daiso there when everything reopens, and most of the stuff you see today you can buy at that store. But this is just a plain 100 yen, or it's about $1.50 here to buy it in America, bento box. You've seen it in the furoshiki demonstration I did last week. And I call this the DIY salad because these are little side dish containers made of silicone. You can pull them out and you can assemble the salad in the bento box and have a nice fresh crisp salad. You can have, this is another little container, you can have your salad dressing in there. Make up a salad whenever you want so everything stays, doesn't get soggy, your spinach doesn't get soggy, or your lettuce or whatever you're going to have. And you just have this nice prepackaged thing ready for you. A bit more of an adult version, but some of the elements that you're looking at in this is look at the use of color. Obviously, you know in nutrition that color is very important. The more color you can add to your dish, the more nutrients you're getting. And right now we're all trying to stay safe and healthy. And part of staying healthy is having all of your vitamins and minerals and really keeping your body in optimum condition through your nutrition. So you want to get as many different colors as you can, and even shades. So you want different shades of green, light greens, dark greens, but also make it visually appealing. So that's where some of these things come in. Even though they aren't adding any of the texture to the dish itself, they add a little bit of visual appeal. This is still like basic beginner level. It's a little bit cuter than just sort of piling things into a box, but it is also a nice simple way if you want to have a picnic in your home. That's another way that you can add a little bit of interest, a little bit of fun for your family. Pretend that you're having a picnic, open up a blanket on the floor, and eat as if you are having a great party out in a park somewhere, but you can be safe at the same time. So this is a salad version. This is a snack version, and you can see this is fairly basic. I've got some strawberries, some grapes, and some pre-cut apple slices, and this is just a really cute sakura bowl that I use as my dipping bowl, and I got that at H Mart. H Mart has a wonderful collection of tiny little dishes, and I highly recommend shopping at either Asahi or H Mart whenever you can, because a lot of the Asian supermarkets right now are not as heavily patronized as they would have been before the pandemic. So I'm not going to get into why. I'm sure you can guess. But let's try to support those businesses, and Asahi in particular has a lot of these tools. They have bento box supplies, and I can't remember which ones I got at Asahi, which ones I got at Daiso, but they have a number of these accessories there too, and they do curbside delivery for you as well. So you can just contact Asahi, and they can probably hook you up with a lot of these supplies. So again, you got multiple colors in here. You got this really cute little container that I bought, and honestly, I'd never used it before, even though it's been sitting in my house for nearly a year now. And it's just a really nice little snack that I can take with me into another room, into the bedroom. I can have my protein, I can have some fruit, and it's perfect any time of day. And obviously, it comes with a lid, and you can carry it around the house, or in my case, keep your cat out of it. My cat loves fruits and vegetables, so it's been a real challenge today as I've cut things up, trying to keep her out of it. In fact, I had to offer up a sacrifice of some of the cucumber seeds because she would not stop whining. So life at home is a little bit different than what we would normally go through. So let me just check my list. That is kind of the basics of what I would say about just use your good dishes, or, best out your china and your silverware if you have it. I don't happen to have those types of things, but I do have some very special handmade pottery that we've been using. Normally we don't bother because you have to hand wash it and we're a bit lazy, but this is time to try to have some fun and maybe spice up your everyday meals with something a little bit different. If you're having rice dishes, so a lot of people who are interested in Japanese food and cooking will be having rice as a foundational part of their meals. If you're having rice, there are a number of ways that you can color your rice or add a bit of flavoring to them. There are several bento cookbooks on the market that can go into these, but for example, you can cook rice with things in it, like cook rice in chicken stock or cook rice in a vegetable stock, so that it'll take on a little bit of the color of the soup. You can also just mix things into the rice, like turmeric or saffron. Ketchup is very popular. Tomato sauce. One of my favorite dishes right now is my family's Italian American on one side, and so we have a kind of like a hybrid spaghetti rice dish that's not really risotto, not really pasta, but basically you've got tomato sauce and rice together, and that is wonderful, and it gives you a rice that's a very rich red color, and it looks very pretty on the plate. So consider just changing the color of your food without having to necessarily change up too much of the way you would normally cook, using some things that you have at home. Let's move back to the list again so that I can just remind you. We have looked at using your best dishes, silverware, accessories, use the good stuff because this is that special occasion. We've looked at, remember to try to add more color into the meal itself, and then also if you're not picking foods that have dynamic color on their own, then you can add color by things other than food coloring. You can use textures as well. So try to vary up how it appears to make it a little bit more appealing. But the main topic of this presentation tonight is going to be about shapes and faces. And bring out the next bento. This is where we start getting fancy. I hope you can see all that. Now, when you guys were thinking of a Kawaii bento, this is probably more what you were thinking. And I hope you can see in the lights. Let me talk you through what's going on here. So we have a lot of shapes that have been created. These are some sandwiches that I have cut using a pretty normal cookie cutter. These were ones that are specifically for bento and for cute lunches, but I like them because they have this nice big removable handle. I ordered them online from somewhere, I don't even remember where, but you can use any cookie cutter, and so I did that. I had a larger one for these sandwiches. These are just a peanut butter Nutella sandwich with a little bit of Nutella on top, cut out in star shapes, and I used this one, this star shape, to cut out these. These are some carrots and some cucumbers, and I'll demonstrate very quickly. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, really. You can just get a carrot. I recommend, if your carrots are kind of skinny like mine are, cut them on an angle so you have a little bit more surface area. You're just going to push down hard on a firm surface. Make sure you pull away the excess before you lift it off. Sorry, I know that's a bit difficult to see, but pull away the excess. So the excess is all gone there. And if you have a chopstick or a straw or something, that can help you remove your shape. So it's really simple. Any tiny little cookie cutter will do. You may notice that I actually have one that's a bear shape, and in here, these are little bananas. Bananas are super easy to cut. So this is the dessert section because these are dessert sandwiches. And I have the bananas, I think go really well with Nutella and peanut butter. And this is a regular sandwich that I cut up and in a star shape, although it got a little jagged. I find that multigrain bread doesn't cut as nicely and neatly as white bread does, but if that's what you have, that's what we have. Sometimes you may just want to cut it with a knife. You don't need a cookie cutter. You can cut any shape that you want just with a knife or even with kitchen scissors if you're adept at that kind of thing. I find especially with deli meats, they can be hard to press through with just a cutter. So sometimes using a knife is easier. But this is just a regular ham and cheese sandwich, but I put the condiments on the outside to make it more interesting. So I've got the mustard here to give it more of a star shape and a tiny bit of mayo in the middle just to give it a little bit more visual interest. I'm not going to show you how that works, but I will show you these are kind of the quintessential Kawaii bento, the little hot dogs or Vienna wiener sausages. In Japan, they don't tend to have American-style hot dogs. They do have like Vienna sausages, cocktail sausages. But here I just used regular hot dogs cut in half. In fact, I will show you that, how you make these. So how you get a hot dog to look like the quintessential octopus hot dog is quite simple. You take it, you cut it in half, so it's approximately the size of a Vienna sausage. Now, this end is going to be your head, so you leave that alone, but you cut it. You're going to aim for about a third of the way down, 1/3 to 1/2 of the way down, depending on how long you want the legs to be. And you're just going to cut it once, like this, go all the way through, rotate it 90 degrees, and again, about at the same point, go like this. Now, you can leave it just like that. You can take some toothpicks and make little eye holes there. I happen to have a cute little gizmo. Again, I don't remember where I bought it. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me see if the camera will pick it up better. This just punches the little faces into the hot dogs. So this one I can turn around to show you. You just kind of push it in on the end like this. Push down firmly. Lift up, and it has made the little face in there, which definitely opens up more while it's cooking. There's another face if you turn it over. Now, I have found if you try to do two faces at the same time, sometimes it breaks the first face. So just be a little bit more gentle the second time. And again, I'm not sure if you can see that terribly well. You probably would want to push down harder. So let me show you on the other end of the hot dog here. I recommend only doing one face because, like I said, if you're squishing down from one side and then squishing down from the other side, you can see here that it kind of broke from the force. But there you go. There's another little face. But you could do this yourself. You could use the end of a chopstick for the mouth and two little pinpricks out of a toothpick or something like that. Maybe a little dental tool, whatever you happen to have to make the face. Cook these hot dogs as you normally would. I boil them. You can fry them. Whatever you like, and then let them cool, and they will curl up and the faces will open up. And this is the #1 most classic bento technique that everyone has heard of. And finally, I'm not sure if you can see it on here, I've got an egg shape. Let me pull this out so you can see a little better. This is a gadget that I bought, and I love my gadgets, so I'm going to show you this. This is a little tiny omelet maker. You just get your omelet mixture, which in this case can be plain eggs, a little bit of seasoning. You don't need milk or anything else. You fill it up to this little line at the bottom, pop it in the microwave of all things. It's amazing. After 30 seconds, it fluffs up. You squish it down in here, let it cool, and when it comes out, it has a little indentation so that you can add your sauce. In this case, I use sriracha. I happen to be allergic to eggs, so my husband will be eating these, and he likes sriracha, but they recommend ketchup or any other things. But yeah, you can get this little omelet maker, again, at places where bento supplies are sold. Oh, I forgot, there's one more option for the hot dogs. Again, another gadget that I picked up somewhere. This is my favorite here. I don't know if you can see in the middle. This creates a star shape. So you actually just put your hot dog down like this. And if you're like me and you've done a lot of pottery and have done extruding, you press down. It's a little bit harder with a hot dog than a cocktail sausage. But I don't know if you can see that. It is going to create a star shape in the middle and then open up into a bit of a flower when you cook it. Now this has other options to create other looks. This will create even more of a flower effect, but you can use either of these to shape your cool hot dogs. Let me see where we are on the rest of this. So another thing I just wanted to mention, you'll often see that bentos have some kind of greenery on the bottom just to, for easier cleanup, but also to make it look more interesting. Now, if you have a picky eater who's not going to eat the lettuce or spinach on the bottom, maybe that's just going to be a garnish, but the idea would be to eat the whole thing, and so to get a little bit of extra nutrition by cleaning up all the sauce or other interesting things, the juices that have dripped down while you've been eating it and flavored your leafy greens at the bottom. Showed you cutting with the carrot, but you can also use the cucumbers. I just scoop out the seeds. That was the offering to my cat. You can press it down, and again, in the exact same way, you can cut cucumber into those cute little shapes. And it's exactly the same process. This is a little bit easier to cut than the carrot is. But some people do this on cooked vegetables as well. Cooked carrots, cooked daikon, any potatoes, root vegetables, anything that has enough of a body to it that you can punch through that'll hold its shape afterwards. Just to recap, we have talked about changing the shape of the food, including using cookie cutters to change either the sandwich or to change your side dishes, like your fruits and vegetables. We have talked about changing the shape of hot dogs, which is very common. There's actually a way to cut apples so that they look like little rabbits. Unfortunately, I didn't have any apples that weren't pre-sliced, so I can't show you that one, but I can certainly give you some resources for that. Actually, there's a manga cookbook that I really like, and because so many anime have the cutting up an apple in this cute little rabbit shape. It's something that people do when a child or a younger sibling is ill. It's just a way to cheer them up. So hopefully that's given you some various ideas of how to use shapes in changing the shape of your food. Now I'm going to bring back the overhead camera, and I'm going to show you how to add some shapes to basic, this is just flat plain rice. Now, I don't know about you, but I like furikake, but sometimes I don't just want to sprinkle it randomly. So I'm going to make a stencil. This is just a sheet of parchment paper. You can use freezer paper or even regular copy paper if you want, if you kind of hold it above the food. I'm going to just use kitchen scissors and cut out a heart shape. I will mention there are also food-safe punches, and I'm going to show you those in a minute when we get into punching out some other shapes to go on top of things like the little rice balls that I have there. But I've just created this basic heart shape because parchment paper is food safe. You can lay it directly on to your food. I am probably going to make a mess of this just because it is hard to do upside down and with people watching, but hopefully this gives you a decent enough idea. This is a little bit cold because I had to prepare the rice before I started filming, but I've got that laid on there. Open up my furikake, just sprinkle it on in the hole, and then if you're holding steady, which I'm probably not, make sure it's all gone in there. And that didn't do a very good job. That is because I let the rice get cold on me. If you had the stickiness and the warmth of the rice, you can sort of see the heart shape, but not terribly well. But if the rice were still warm and were still steaming, the parchment would actually slightly stick to the wet rice, and that way it would give you a better outline. Instead, because it was dry, things kind of snuck under there a little. But hopefully that gives you an idea. Also, furikake is a bit large, so if I had something smaller, like just a spice, like a paprika, that would show up a little better too. So. Now, some more fun things. Let me put the furikake away. Oh, I forgot to show you this when we were talking about shaping food. Now, like I said, I'm allergic to egg, so I don't use this one. But this is a device for taking hard-boiled eggs that are still warm, just out of the shell. You then squish it into this mold, lock it in there, dump it into ice water so it cools down rapidly, and when you remove it, it has this shape. In this case, it's Hello Kitty, but it comes in a bunch of different characters and forms. So you have your egg that is taken on the shape of the mold. So that's pretty cool if you like hard-boiled eggs. I can eat them in some countries, but America uses bleach on eggs here, and I'm very allergic to bleach. So the final thing we're going to talk about, just to show you the slides for the last time, is faces, because I really like making things that are kind of normal be really adorable. So now I'm going to bring in, as I explained, the food safe punches. These are actually designed for using with nori, and I will do that shortly. However, if you want to know what makes this different from your regular craft punch, the answer is nothing really. Absolutely nothing. If you wanted to buy a brand new craft punch, these come from the same place even. This is a little bit flatter surface so that you can punch it out directly onto your rice ball, your onigiri. These are little tiny rice balls that I made in a little rice ball shaker. That's the only real difference. This is a little bit recessed. But if you wanted to buy a new craft punch and just use this exclusively for food, I think that would be perfectly fine. I wouldn't use it for paper and then go back and forth and use it for nori, because then you're going to get some contamination, and it's not very easy to actually get in and clean these things in either case. You can't really clean it well. All you can kind of do is give it a rinse and let it dry very thoroughly. But as you can see, there's no real easy way to get in there and clean it out. So you only want to use it for thick, crispy materials. Well, not necessarily thick, but crispy materials. In this case, it's probably better if you had a set of tweezers as well. But I'm going to live dangerously because you only live stream once, right? So I'm going to kind of aim directly over my rice ball. Probably mess it up, but click it down, and it did come out, but it didn't come out exactly the way I wanted it. So I'll show you that again. Again, you would want to have tweezers. I've lost one of the eyeballs already. So again, I'll show you over the parchment paper instead. Actually, I'll do it upside down so that you can see. Sometimes if you're trying to line up specifically, this is a tip from the scrapbooking world, sometimes it's helpful to make sure like that you're not punching over an area that you've already punched into, to do it upside down, but it can move about on you. And see how that just went flying? That is why tweezers would probably be your friend and you'd want to do it down. But here we go. We've got two little heart-shaped eyes from the punch. Now if you're like me and you're thinking, well, that was a little fiddly, and honestly this guy isn't all that cute, is there anything else I can do to put faces on things? And oh boy, yes there is. So let me bring out two of your other friends when trying to make cute shapes for food. That would be typical deli ham and cheese. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you with the deli ham is something that is so simple you don't even need tools. Just fold it in half. There is a tool for this. You don't need a tool for this. Fold it in half. Cut little slices. Don't cut all the way through. You're just going to cut little slices like this. About 1/4 of an inch or a centimeter. I mean, it's not really particular. The main thing is you just don't want it to cut all the way through. You're going to roll this up now. Let me see if I can show you better. There we go. Can you see a little bit better now? Roll this up and tuck it together, and it kind of creates a flower. Now, this is another sort of typical traditional bento trick. I personally am not that convinced by it. I find that it's a bit messy. Usually you need a toothpick to hold it together, but then you've got a toothpick just kind of sticking in the middle of your dish. But I did want to show it to you just in case. I'm going to put that aside here for now. Other things you can do with your ham is a little bit more interesting. There are cookie cutters and things that are designed just for ham and its friend, sliced cheese. So you really only want to do one at a time, but you can push down. You need a firm pressure, especially for meat. Meat is kind of difficult, and this is one case where you're better off with some of the more like processed meats that are reconstituted. And I don't know if you can see, but it is made more of an indentation, and it actually hasn't cut through. So, I should have practiced more. Let me show you the one that I did get that's a little bit easier. These are really large. These are presses. These are more like cookie cutter presses. You can get much more pressure on them. So that has cut right the way through. Now again, these are a little bit difficult to get out. It did actually come with a little stick, which is of course in my kitchen, so I'm not going to run and get it again. I'm just going to use a straw. You can use a chopstick, but you can push it out, and I'm not sure if you can see, but this has created a tiny little mustache. You see? Got a little mustache there. You can then use this other shape and push down. Again, you want to make sure that's pushed all the way through. Push all the way through. Didn't do the best job. Let's try that again. You need even pressure. Sometimes it helps to be standing up even, so you get all your back muscles into it. But again, better off with the more processed ham. Sometimes it helps if you wiggle it to really detach it. There we go. There is one little eye that can go on that guy. Although, again, tweezers would be useful here. let's not try to do it with that. Let me show you how much easier it is to do this on a piece of cheese. So we're going to go back to this other one. This one has stars and bears, and this one's much easier to press right the way through. In this case, I don't have to worry quite so much. You can see that it has created these little stars, this little row of connected cheeses, or connected stars, connected bears, all the way through. Push it gently from behind with your fingers. I'm not sure if you can see me doing that. You're basically pushing this way to make sure that everything has cut through cleanly. And so maybe this guy has little stars for eyes. Again, a toothpick would be more efficient, or a fork, something of that nature. Tiny of a fork, just gently push it back out. Or I'll just do the big one. This guy's going to have really big stars for eyes. It is a challenge to do this upside down and on the camera when you have a migraine. So you may just have to imagine he looks kind of goofy. If you had a larger onigiri, like you've done it by hand or you've done it in the mold, this would be more effective. Hopefully that gives you some idea. Again, if you had a colored onigiri, that would work. The reason why I have a straw here is you can actually just use a straw to create little eyes. But then it's difficult to get out, so you kind of have to blow to get the little eyeball out of the straw. But if that's all you have, you can create eyes just with the straw. So imagine you've got two little eyes there. Since it's easier to see on the board, I'll show you this way, and then I'll show you this other one that I had for the ham that is more of a large smiley face. Let's see if I can get it to work. There we go. Difficult to push out. Squish this in, push it down, and there is our smile. Came out. There we go. So imagine that you've put this, you could add this to a hard-boiled egg. You could create a face on a hard-boiled egg. You could put it on a Brussels sprout or a piece of vegetable. You could add it onto some of the carrots that you cut before. So basically you can use any type of cookie cutter, small cookie cutter like this, to create shapes. Again, you're going to find it's much easier with cheese. You can use different types of cheese. Any sliced cheese will work. And ham, the sort of more processed ham, or bologna. Bologna actually works pretty well. But this being stay-at-home time, I was just trying to use what I had. So again, let me tidy up just a little here because I have just a couple more things to show you. I have a really cute onigiri. And of course, I have a gadget for making it. So, give me 1 second. So, when this was hot, or warm, I mean it wasn't hot, but when this was warm to the touch, I put a little bit of rice inside this mold. Now, as you may be able to see, this is a cat-faced mold. So let me see if I can flip it so that you can see it on mold in your orientation. So 1, 2, 3, flip. Pull the mold off the top. It's been sitting here a little long because I have been talking to you, but there we go. We have the cat-shaped onigiri. I'm not sure if you can tell how well it's come out. I can see quite clearly defined shape on here. The other thing that comes with this gadget is a tool to cut the nori. So remember how we were trying to use a punch on the nori, which works, but it does go flying everywhere. This is actually a serrated cutter to make little cat faces, and this is a little piece of silicone. You can use any kind of silicone baking mat. The important thing here when you're trying to cut on nori is that it has little serrations, because if you tried to use a cutter like this one that's smooth, it's not really going to tear into the paper-like quality of nori. So again, I have not done this one upside down and backwards before, so let me see if I can do this. You've got your nori. I don't think it matters whether it's shiny side down or shiny side up in this case. But I put the cutter, and the cutter is centered over the silicone mat. And then I'm just going to press down. Hear that crunch? That crunch is it cutting through the nori. Now again, ideally you would have some tweezers, both for pushing out and for aligning onto the onigiri. But everything did cut out properly. I've just got to pull them off the sheet. And now we can line up our cat ears. The ears punched out fine. The eyes are here. Try to get them lined up the way they were, but again, upside down is a bit more of a challenge. Here is its little face. I mean, a little mouth. And kitty cat nose. Now you could go in and add some little lines with a tiny little piping pen, or like you would use for cake decorating. You could add some condiments to add some little whisker lines. You could, you know, use something. I mean, I don't know. I've seen people use like little bits of dried pasta to create whiskers that gives a little bit of crunch when you're eating it. You could also see that if you wanted to, you could then just cut out this bit of nori using your kitchen scissors. Okay. And then I can cover up that mistake that I made by not using a very good stencil. Go back here to the one where I was trying to do the stencil. Didn't work so great, did it? But now we can give it a little cat face. Oh, except with the furikake in there, it's not quite so easy to see. Let me see if I can give you a little bit more light. So you could have just laid the leftovers onto another piece of rice and had a cat face that way and a cat face this way. I really appreciate your time. I am going to go back to the slide because I have a little bit of resources for you. If you are looking for recipes in particular, I recommend that you go online and you Google Bento Expo. Now, Bento Expo is a TV show on NHK World, and NHK World is the Japanese television station international channel. So it is available on cable, and it's also available on the internet. You can watch on the web, or you can watch via their free app that you can get in like the Google Play Store or the App Store on the Apple operating system. And so you can watch all the previous episodes of Bento Expo, and you can go on their website to get bento recipes. So I really recommend that one. If you're interested in all these little dollar store gadgets that I've gotten, I found most of them from some friends of mine who have a YouTube channel. It's called Tabby Eats, and they do reviews of Daiso gadgets or dollar store gadgets all the time. Most of them fail spectacularly, so it's kind of fun to watch, but they're really entertaining, and they do a lot of food and cooking and exploring around Japan, but they particularly do a lot of reviews from around the world. And then, of course, there are many, many cookbooks. If you just go into a search engine and type in Bento cookbook, you will probably come up with 3 or 4 dozen. I have a couple of them. They have enormous range of food that you can create that are meant to be nutritious lunches that have side dishes as well, and they're portion controlled, and so you're not making a huge batch of it. But also, a bento can be anything you want. It's really just a lunch that you happen to be putting in a box, and it doesn't even have to be a lunch. It's a meal. It can be leftovers. It can be your normal everyday, you know, what you're having for lunch. It doesn't have to be something you're taking somewhere, but bentos are designed to be easy for you to take on the go, to take to work, a boxed lunch as we would call it. I want to remind you that supplies are available at Asahi and H Mart here in Austin. And then if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there are Daiso, which is my favorite Japanese dollar store. And there's also Mitsuwa there. And then there are also a variety of opportunities in Houston. So when it is possible for people to go out again, I really recommend patronizing your Asian and especially your Japanese grocery stores and dollar stores. So the final thing I'd like to say is remember one last way to make your bento kawaii and cute is to wrap it up in a furoshiki before you serve it. And if you don't remember how to wrap up a furoshiki bento, then please go back and watch my video from last week where that's the first demonstration I show you. So thank you very much for spending your Fridays with me this entire month. I really appreciate that you've spent your time with me. Please remember to enter our contest, and I would say for those of you who are watching later after the live broadcast, remember to go ahead and like and comment. We are kind of putting these videos out into the void, and so if you've been enjoying what we've been doing, please let us know so that we'll know if you want us to continue doing it in the future. So thank you again very, very much, and I will turn it over to Christy.
Thank you, Juliann. I look forward to making a kawaii bento soon. Tomorrow we have a double header. At 3 p.m. on Saturday, we have Ikebana. And at 7 p.m., we have Peelander Yellow with music and art. Tune in tomorrow. The Austin Oita Sister City Committee would like to thank our sponsors, City of Austin Cultural Arts Division, TEL, First Texas Honda, Best of Austin Living Team at Keller Williams Realty, Bruce Gardner Insurance and Investments. This project is supported in part by the Cultural Arts Division of the City of Austin Economic Development Department. Thank you to Austin and Oita City Hall and staff. Thank you to Austin Sister Cities International, Sister Cities International. Thank you to the board members who made this possible, Juliann, Marie, Miho, Susan, and Christy. Thank you to all the AOSCC board members who regularly volunteer their time. For more information about the Austin Oita Sister City Committee, visit us at austinoita.org. That's austinoita.org, or check us out on Facebook.